Welcome to the Saturday Showdown, the official pregame show for the Minot State football team, presented by Popeyes. Get 10% off Popeyes with your student ID. We are live in the Hartnett Hall studios right now on the campus of Minot State University. My name is Dalton Davis. I will be joined later by Clayton Hawkins and Gage Eastlick. But right now I'm going to be joined with Coach Ian Shields. Coach, thank you for joining me today.
Appreciate having me on, Dalton. Thank you.
Hey, before we look at your matchup today against MSU Moorhead, I just want to go into the overall look of the season. We're getting to the end of the season here. And many people can agree that this is the best season that Minot State has had in the D2 era. Just what has this season meant to you as far as the improvements from last season to this year?
Yeah, it's been significant. We've shown a real progress, obviously, as a program. I thought a lot of guys have stepped forward. Some real positive leadership's helped made that happen, So we're excited about what we've done to this point. We're not content with that. We have 2 games here back at home to finish out. And, our goal would be to win both of them and finish with a winning season, which has never happened, here in the D2 era. So that would be a huge feather in our cap if we can pull that off. Any win is we're making history, is doing things that hasn't been done. But optimally, we'd like to finish out with a couple home wins here at the Herb.
Yeah. Well, you talk about the leadership. I want to talk about the senior captains, Emma Spino, Mizell Williams, Carson Chrisman, and Carson Keiko. Can you just go into what their leadership has meant to this season?
Well, and they're not the only ones. I mean,
right.
I think the culture piece is in a good place right now, and I think it's getting better every day. So those guys are a big part of it. Emmett's been through a lot here. Carson Psycho's been through a lot here. Mizell's a newcomer. Mizell actually is a junior. He's got another year left, so that's a good thing. So Carson Chrisman as well has got another year left. So those are kind of the 4 guys that walk out there for the coin toss, and they've done a tremendous job. I think Carson Chrisman is really the epitome of kind of what we're doing, like an unselfish guy, moved over from defense to offense, embraced the role. I think he's really been kind of the straw that stirred the drink in a lot of ways for us. And like I said, all those guys are critical, and there's more than just them. There's I think 13 seniors, I think about right. They're going to walk out there on senior day the next week. And so, like I said, it's exciting because they've made a dent. They've started bridging the gap to where we want to go, and they've been a big part of it.
Yeah, well, the last couple of weeks, you guys have had to face some tough opponents. You guys have taken some losses, but you guys fought hard in those games. They were tough opponents, and you guys stayed in the games the whole time. I know you want to come away with wins during those games, but what are some good things and good takeaways that you found from them?
Well, yeah, just doubling down on becoming competitive. I mean, we are competitive. We've had chances to beat the best teams in this conference. We're Augustana here at home. We're right there. Bemidji there. We're a play away. So we've closed the gap on teams that are traditional playoff teams in this conference. Now what we got to do is just knock the door down and get over the hump, and we're not quite there yet. That being said, we beat. We did beat Sioux Falls and beat Northern. Teams have been hot since we beat them, and Sioux Falls is a probable playoff team right now. So we're capable of beating anyone, but the margin for error is really slim. So we have to play our best football, and that will be looking forward to today against Moorhead, the same story.
Yeah. Well, you talked about the last time we had you on the show, you talked about the importance of winning the turnover battle. Last week you were able to do that. It kept you in the game. What does winning the turnover battle do for you as far as keeping you in the games?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be a big part of it today. We've done a great job offensively of not turnover. I mean, we've eliminated sin. We call it the self-inflicted negatives. We're not beating ourselves before the ball snap with procedural errors, not getting lined up, and false starts and all that. Defensively, the same thing. And we were only penalized 1 time last Saturday against Duluth. We're the least penalized team in the country right now. Ironically, Moorhead State's the second least penalized team in the country who we're playing today. So the turnover battle will be big. They throw, it's a contrast in styles. It's fire and ice, it's cats and dogs, it's whatever polar opposites you can think of. Because they're going to throw their air raid, they're going to throw the ball 70 times, and we're flexible and we're going to run it 70 if we can. So. Like I said, it'll be a contrast in styles. Hopefully, there's some opportunities when they're throwing the ball for our defensive backs and linebackers to make some plays and be opportunistic and get the ball back. I think that'll be a big key to the game. If we can get 3 or more defensively takeaways, I like our chances.
Yeah, you talk about their pass offense. Going from last week, just a huge rushing offense from the team you faced, and then this week, Moorhead bringing in a lot of passers and a lot of top receivers too. How do you make that transition from last week to this week?
Well, hopefully it started this week in practice,
Right.
and And they're a talented group. You know, the quarterback's first team all conference a year ago. They got receivers that can play. They got a good scheme. Their quarterback's so far back there in the gun, like it's hard to get a pass rush on them. That we need to get one, but you know, they do a real. They're good at what they do. You know, it's kind of like the old Mike Leach air raid system. You know, Washington State or Texas Tech. Like, the quarterback's pretty efficient, gets the ball in his hands, and they got some pretty dynamic receivers. So I said it is a challenge, you know, and they got a lot of bubble screens and quick screens and all that stuff that serves as their run game. So they're a challenge. I mean, the best way to defend these guys is for our offense to stay on the field. Don't let their offense on the field. If our offense can win the time of possession and ground them out, and then that plays into our hands.
Yeah, you talk about the time of possession. It's a tale of two stories between, you know, our rushing offense and their pass-heavy, you know, offense on their side of the ball. You guys are number 3 in the time of possession in the NSIC this year, and in each of your victories against Sioux Falls and Northern State, like, those were huge contributors to the game. I know in Sioux Falls you guys had the ball for more than double the time they had the ball, right?
Yeah, close to 40 minutes in that game.
Right. So you dominated the time of possession. How big is that going to be today with a team that is so reliant on the pass?
Well, I think it's a big factor. You know, their coach would say it's not a factor to them how they choose to play, but in our world, it is a big factor. And like I said, I think their offense needs touches. They need to be in rhythm. They need their hands on the ball. And that's kind of why we're doing what we're doing too, is to keep other offenses off the field and protect our defense. You know, so I think stats can be misleading a lot of times. You know, certainly their defensive stats are probably not as indicative of how good a defense they are. It's just they're put in a lot of bad positions with 3 and outs and quick possessions, and so their defense plays a little more football. Time of possession does matter to us, and so like I said, that'll be significant. We got to win on first down. We got to win on third down and stay on the field. You know, and if we have a lot of tackles for losses, you know, offensively we're giving that up. It's going to be hard on us. We need to stay in phase and ahead of the sticks, and then I like our chances.
Yeah, today, you know, you guys are coming up to Minot, back at the Herb. Today's really the first cold day that you guys have had of this winter. How does you think the cold almost give you an advantage because of you guys are rushing and their pass-heavy offense?
You know, it definitely is. You know, I guess this is probably for November 2nd. This probably isn't cold by Minot standards, right? We're usually having the snow on the ground at this point and the wind blowing sideways, and it feels a little Arctic sometimes this time of the year. Now it's not. You know, like I said, by kickoff it's going to be mid-40s, and it'll be good. But to your point, this does play to our strong suits offensively, like the way we're built. We like to say we're an all-weather army. You know, that's how we play. You know, the snow, the worse it is, the snowier it is, the windier it is, the better it is for us typically. So, like I said, we embrace it and we know where we live, and it's part of the reason we do what we do.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is because of where we live. You guys usually don't get a whole lot of home games to end the season. Last year, you guys had 3 away games to end the season, and this year you're ending it with back-to-back home games at the Herb. Just what does that, you know, mean for you guys to be able to do? Because you guys are 3-1 at home this year. And so coming back and ending the season off at the Herb, what does that feel like?
Well, we feel like we have a distinct home field advantage here. You know, we're the furthest trip for just about everybody. You know, the furthest north and the furthest west, you know, team in the conference. So that's a big time advantage for us, and our guys are comfortable here. And like I said, we've been supported well here by our fan base. So, you know, we're excited to be back at home. I think it'll be nice to finish here. You know, we have this awkward bye next week, and then we finish up with Winona in the last game. So. It's great to be at home and not on a bus going for 10 or 12 hours like the last couple of weeks have been tough. Like you said, our schedule is arguably the toughest in the history of the school because some of the teams towards the bottom of the standings were not on our schedule, and we added Bemidji and Augustana in place of those teams that were not playing. So, like I said, it's been a challenging schedule, but we've held up well. Like I said, hopefully we can get over the hump here in these last 2 and finish with a winning season. That's the goal.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have competed every single week with every team that you've played. You guys competed against Augustana. You beat USF, you know, but Moorhead has done the same thing. So, you know, we don't know what to expect. What team are we going to get from Moorhead, and then what team are we going to get from you guys today?
Yeah, you know, our programs are a lot alike. Now they're a little bit more mature in their, you know, with their system because their coach has been there 14 years and their defense coordinator has been there 6 years, and they've built that thing over time, and they've built it uniquely because they play the game differently than everyone in the conference. in a lot of ways, just like we're striving to do. It's just a different way of doing it. I mean, it's like in the political spectrum. Like they're about as far left as you can get, and we're about as far right as you can get, right? And then, like in politics, anytime you get really extreme left, really extreme right, I mean, they're all crazy, and they all kind of meet in the same place, right? And that's kind of that's about where we're at. Like, we're both really similar, as different as we are.
That's a good way of putting it. Well, thank you for joining me today, Coach. Good luck at 1 p.m. Guys, 1 p.m. at the Herb. The Beavers are going to be taking on MSU Moorhead. Be there. Bring your jackets. It's going to be a cold one out there. But we're going to take it to a quick break before we got Gage, or afterwards we got Gage giving us updates on the NSIC. Thank you, Coach. I'm going to give a huge shout out to Popeyes for feeding us today. The wonderful chicken sandwiches. Guys, go to Popeyes. Get 10% off if you show them your student ID. 328th Avenue Southwest in Minot. Thank you, Popeyes, for sponsoring us. We appreciate their sponsorship. I'm Dalton Davis. We just had an awesome interview with Coach Shields. We appreciate his time coming before the game. I'm joined with Clayton Hawkins, but we're going to kick it over to Gage Eastlick. Gage, you got some updates on the NSIC.
Yeah, I do. And, we have our game here today at the Herb, and we also have another game down the road in Bismarck. A little dicey over there, so we're going to get right into it right here, Dalton. And Week 10 for the Minot State Beavers features a big matchup in Minnesota State Moorhead. The Beavers come into the weekend sitting at 10th in the conference, being sandwiched between Minnesota Duluth and Concordia St. Paul. As for Minnesota State Moorhead, they are tied with Winona and Bemidji State for 6th place in the NSIC standings. Good news for the Beavers, however, as MSU Moorhead has given up the 5th most rushing yards in the NSIC with over 1,300. The Beavers also come into this one having given up the 2nd least amount of passing yards in the conference, while Moorhead has the number 1 passing offense in the NSIC, averaging 334 yards a game. This looks to be a good matchup for the Beavers as they look to snap their 4-game losing streak before their bye week. Kickoff at the Herb is at 1 p.m. And as for our rivals, the University of Mary plays Southwest Minnesota State for the Battle of the Back End, as both teams are yet to win a game in conference play this season. U-Mary does have one win on the year, however, as they beat Jamestown 23-6 to start the year, and have yet to take a win since. SMSU is in a similar situation as they are sitting at 0-8 overall. Their closest game came against Concordia St. Paul, where they would go on to lose 27-17. Kickoff in Marshall is at 11 a.m. And last week, the Augustana Vikings put on a display as they took on Minnesota State Mankato. Viking quarterback Gunnar Hensley and linebacker Cade Lynott were named Offensive and Defensive Players of the Week. For Gunnar Hensley, he would total an NSIC best 288 total yards while throwing 2 touchdowns. He would go on to finish with a passer rating of 149 on the day. And as for Cade Lynott, he would tie the team high in tackles with 9 on the day, including 7 solo tackles and 1 tackle for loss. He would also add an interception on the day that resulted in a 50-yard return to set up a touchdown later in the game. The Vikings would go on to win this game 34-16 over the Mavericks. and the Vikings play today at 2 p.m. against Concordia St. Paul. Now, Dalton, lots of things going on in the NSIC this week. And now, what are you guys looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to watching my first game in the stands for Minot State. I've been working the camera every day with you every game before this, and I'm not working that one today, so I'm able to actually check it out in the stands, maybe go to the tailgate beforehand.
A little disappointed you're not working, but it's all right.
Yeah, my bad. You're not going to hear my voice on the mic today, but guys, we're going to take it to a quick break. A huge shout out to Popeyes once again. After this break, we're going to kick it to a Hot Topic segment with me and Clayton. Welcome to the Popeyes Saturday Showdown. We're going to go straight into our Hot Topic segment of the week. We got a lot of interesting stuff going on as far as local, college, and professional football matchups this weekend. Huge shout out to Gage. Thank you for giving us an update on the NSIC. Going to be some exciting stuff going on today. But we're going to take a look at last night. There was a lot of local sports going on and some playoffs, hopefuls and hopes, still going on for Minot schools right now. Last night, the number one ranked Minot High took on West Fargo and won 23-0. Took them non-handedly. They're going to be going on to play Fargo Davies in the round 2 of the AA playoffs next Friday at home, as well as Minot North. They're ranked third in Single A in the 11-man playoffs. Right now, last night they got a win at the North Stadium in Sentinel, 35-20. They moved to round 2 of the playoffs and will face West Fargo Horace next Friday at home. Those are going to be exciting games, trying to get to the championship in each respective class. But I'm joined with Bishop Ryan's offensive line coach. They're going to be facing on Central Cass today over in the eastern side of the state. You got a long trip ahead of you right after the show, don't you?
Exactly the show. Yep. As soon as the show's done, I'm going to hop on and just drive. About the 4-hour drive. So we'll make it hopefully in time for kickoff. But yeah, super excited for this opportunity. Central Cass got the bump ahead of us on seating. But, I mean, they're a 4 seed to our 5. So anyways, it should be a really exciting game. Pretty different styles. They run a hurry-up offense, so they go no huddle. We huddle every play and take our time, usually run down to the last second, getting the play in, making sure our O-line gets all their calls, their checks, make sure we like what we see and we can run that play. So, yeah, this week's been critical, just trying to get the boys in shape to run a very quick style offense, especially like on defense. We got to play against that and guard against it. But honestly, super excited. Another big test for us as well. They got a pretty big team compared to ours. We're rolling with 33 kids. We're proud of it. We got 20 guys that we certainly trust on any given play to go and make a play. Central Cass, they got about 60 dudes on their sideline. Then they're pretty big as well. So they're going to have fresh bodies rolling in. But, that's why we play the games. Any given Saturday, anyone can get got. And I'm super excited for it.
How have you guys prepared this week as far as getting them ready for against a team that's going to have so many guys ready for them?
Yeah, so like I said, I mean, for O-line up front, for sure, we've just been making sure that we are conditioned well. I've taken pride on that since day one, though, since I took the job. You know, when you're dealing with some bigger boys, man, they are the ones that'll tire out the quickest typically, and so you got to make sure they can go all 4 quarters, because you don't want anyone just coming off because they're tired, a la Anthony Richardson last Sunday. You know, there's no place for that really in the game. You just got to play. And so, like, that's, at least for me, up front, I've just made sure we're conditioned and ready to roll. It's tough to sub guys in and out on defense when they run no huddle, but we're going to make sure we are paying attention to when they're subbing, because we will be subbing just to match their personnel, certainly. So, and then for the large part of the team, our defensive coordinator made sure everyone was ready to play against that tempo offense. And so I think they're more than prepared to get in their spots and play adequately and fast.
Well, best of luck to you guys today, and yeah, we'll be rooting for you. Bishop Ryan taking on Central Cass at 3 p.m.
That's correct.
That's correct. Well, we're going to go into FCS matchups now. Locally, NDSU is going to be taking on Northern Iowa over in Fargo. They should take care of them pretty quickly. Hopefully we don't see an upset today.
Yeah.
Number 15, UND, is going to be at Indiana State. They're coming off a 41-40 loss against Youngstown State, who is 3-6 on the season. That was kind of an upset as far as that goes, and
1,000,000%.
hoping that they can respond after last week. And then SDSU ranked number 3. They're going to be taking on Murray State at home. They just had a huge overtime win against USD last week. I know my friends back home were really rooting for SDSU. I was kind of wanting a little USD just because SDSU kind of been the guys the last couple of years, and USD's kind of been, you know, left in the dust as far as South Dakota football goes. But SDSU pulled it out last week, even though USD gave them a run for their money.
I agree. I think just the North Dakota and South Dakota college teams, you got to pay attention to all of them. I think this region's really coming up in its stride with its recruiting in football.
Yeah, and, you know, NDSU, there's a lot of implications as far as what's happening next year, as far as NDSU going up to FBS, and what the FCS is going to look like next year. We don't know.
Yes.
Really, the top 3 teams in the FCS, I can only see one of those 3 teams making it, with SDSU, NDSU, and Montana State. If one of those teams doesn't win, I'd be really shocked, but we'll see how the FCS plays out for the rest of the year. FBS matchups, there's not a whole lot to be going around right now. We got number 4, Ohio State, going to be playing on number 3, Penn State, sorry. But that's going to be the headline game of today. That's going to be at 11 this morning. Louisville's going to be taking on number 11, Clemson. Florida at number 2, Michigan. And the number 1, Oregon, is going to be going to Florida's going to Georgia. Oregon is going to Michigan. That just kind of leads us into our hot topic segment of today. We're going to be talking a little Heisman. What do you think as far as the Heisman field, and who do you think that should take home the trophy this year?
I think it's a one-horse race. Boise Broncos, shouting your guy out, Ashton Gentry. That dude has been an animal. He runs as a running back the hardest I've ever seen. He's, like, athletic, quick. He's got balance. He's strong, can't get him on the ground, takes more than one person to tackle him. And then that signature stance, just standing straight up in the backfield, ready to receive a handoff. It doesn't get any more cooler than that. It's like the game doesn't even matter to him, and he just runs through people. He honestly just looks like when you played in high school, just that one high school athlete, you're like, he's going to go to the next level. Everyone else is kind of playing at a different speed than him. He looks like that at the college level, so obviously we're really excited to see him get to the pros. But, yeah, I think this is a one-horse race. He should win Heisman. Obviously, Dylan Gabriel has a strong push for it, just given that he is the number 1 quarterback on the number 1 team at the moment. But, yeah, I mean, I think this is an Ashton Gentry show, and I hope he wins.
Yeah, you say Dylan Gabriel, he's in the running, or he's in the top to win the Heisman right now. The reason for that, you know, a couple weeks ago they played Ohio State. He threw for 341 yards and 2 touchdowns, and also rushing for a score in that 32-31 victory against number 4 Ohio State. That was a big thing that put him ahead of Gentry, just because Gentry's playing on Boise State. They're playing the Mountain West. It's the weakest conference in FBS. However, you can't you can't just look away from Gentry's stats that he's put up this year. I mean, we're talking about 190 carries, 1,500 rushing yards, 8 yards per carry, 20 touchdowns in 8 games. That is just video game stats.
It is.
And he's going for Barry Sanders' record as far as the rushing record goes.
Yes, he is. And the other thing you got to look at with Boise State, with Gentry and Gabriel in their races, Boise State and Oregon faced off first week of the college football season. And Boise State horribly outgunned, and Gentry kept them in the game. The Oregon, we were all kind of surprised at how tough Oregon was going to look into this year, and then just how they came out super flat that first week. But I'm going to attribute that mostly to Gentry just giving their defense fits. Oregon's really picked it up since that first week and that first matchup. But I think if Boise State were to play Oregon again today, it would be just another close match, if not a Boise State win, because Ashton Gentry is him.
Well, there's one name that we haven't mentioned so far, and that's just something that I'm sure everyone at home is wondering why we haven't mentioned him. It's Travis Hunter, all right?
Yeah.
He's the most talented guy in college football. I think that everyone can agree with that. Playing both sides of the ball, wide receiver and defensive back.
Yes.
He's very impressive, all
Yes,
right?
he is.
And he thinks he should win it, which I believe that he should be in contention. And the last couple of years, it's interesting because Gabriel, he's up in the front because they're 7-0. Oregon is 7-0, and they're the number one team.
Absolutely.
That is because they're winning, okay? I mean, how much does their winning attribute to his Heisman odds, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people want to say wins is a quarterback stat, and I, as an offensive lineman, couldn't disagree any more than that. So that's where I stand on that. But going back to Travis Hunter, I mean, just objectively, the eye test tells you he's probably the number one defensive player in all of college football. Should be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. And then as a receiver, his stats support that he's a top 10 receiver. I would go as far as to say he's probably a top 5 wide receiver. He is doing some truly incredible things the last 2 years on a FBS level at Colorado, just playing both ways. He did that same thing at Jackson State 2 years prior to that. So he is truly a unique specimen, a unique talent, and a unique player. I think it just takes an otherworldly year from Ashton Gentry. And I just keep going back to him, sound like a broken record, but that just kind of is the tell of the tape. Ashton Gentry's stats are just popping off the charts, where Travis Hunter is just physically gifted and is amazing. You have to watch the games, but if you look at it just from a stats perspective, this is the Boise State running backs Heisman to lose.
I think that Travis Hunter is really, really good.
Yes.
Dylan Gabriel's in it because they are winning a lot. He has been very good, and he's loading up the stats. Gentry has been loading up the stats, and that's why he's in it. They're ranked number 15 right now.
Yes.
They're winning the Mountain West Conference. I think that if Travis Hunter was winning more, and the Colorado was winning, I think that he would probably be the Heisman candidate.
Yes.
Right now, the playoffs are now 12 teams. They're not 4 teams anymore. How much does that attribute to Heisman odds? Because I feel like if you're gonna win a Heisman, then you should probably be in the top 12 because you're going to the playoffs.
Yes.
The last couple of years, it's been Caleb Williams, it's been Jaden Daniels. Neither of those guys made the playoffs, but the deal was, hey, they're not top 4. That's understandable. Now it's top 12. Can you get in the top 12? Can you be outside the top 12 and win the Heisman? I don't think so. So I think that Boise State can get in the top 12. They're 15 right now. If they win out, I believe they can get into the top 12, get into the playoffs. However, Colorado, they don't really have anybody for the rest of their schedule that they're playing that's going to be significant enough for them to squeeze into that top 12. And so for me, I don't think that is that Travis Hunter's fault? No. Is he probably the most talented guy? Yes. But does that mean he should win the Heisman? I don't think so. It's an individual trophy, but it really goes to the team, all right? You know, Travis Hunter isn't who he is without Shedeur Sanders throwing to him. Gentry isn't who he is without a lineman blocking up front, right? So who is going to be, how much do we attribute a Heisman to an individual stat or an individual award to a team award? I don't know. But I think that if the Boise State gets into the playoffs, Gentry should win the award. And I think that the reason that Travis Hunter didn't win the award is because Deion Sanders has failed him without getting into the playoffs.
I want to be as contrarian as I can be with you, but I see no flaws in your logic. Those are excellent points, and all I can say is you're absolutely correct. I think, with 12 teams in the playoffs, one individual can certainly take them there. as opposed to in the past where it was 4 teams. Those had to be 4 really good teams. So, yeah, I mean, to put a bow on this conversation, Gentry for Heisman.
That's
as
what we're
simple
looking
as it
for.
goes.
That's what we're looking for. Well, that's going to wrap up our Hot Topic segment. Guys, leave a comment down below who you think should win the Heisman and give us why. We want to debate in the comments.
Yes, absolutely.
But with that being said, we're going to wrap up today's show. We want to give a huge shout out to Coach Ian Shields for joining us and wish Minot State a good luck at 1 p.m. Guys, be there. It's going to be cold, so bring your coats, but we want to pack the stadium for the Beavers. And then lastly, we want to give a shout out to Popeyes. Thank you for sponsoring our shows. Call them at 701-885-4654. We want to thank them for sponsoring our show. Get 10% off if you show them your student ID. With that being said, this has been the Popeyes Saturday Showdown pregame show. We will be back here in 2 weeks for the season wrap-up with the Beavers.
Yes.